Anotinio Palzibat once knocked a 6'8" top 5 competitor down with a jab. And if you've ever seen him fight, then that actually won't be too surprising to you. Plazibat's aggressive pressure fighting and explosive counter-striking have helped him to tear through Glory's heavyweight division. It's almost unreal how Plazibat is able to walk through his opponents while taking so little damage himself. Plazibat's unstoppable, relentless style has led to multiple KO wins, and the right to call himself the #1 contender. So how does he do this? How does he walk through fire without getting burned? The easy answer is that Plazibat possesses all the attributes that make up a great pressure fighter. An aggressive pressure fighter needs to stay safe even while constantly throwing. He needs to effectively cover the distance and cut off escape routes. He needs terrific cardio, a reliable chin, and preferably immense power that can carry into the later rounds. Plazibat has all of this, and he handles each in a pretty unique and very entertaining way. While a casual viewer may at first think it's pure grit, there's actually a lot of thought and technique that goes into Plazibat's style. So let's take a look at all of the parts that build up the Croatian tank that is Anotinio Palzibat. Most are aware of what a typical high guard looks like. A fighter will raise his gloves to binocular height and use both arms like shields to defend either side from damage. But Plazibat's guard is built on reinforced defense. With him, it's all or nothing. Every part of his body will either be committed to defense or offense, with very little in between. To start with, both arms will be used to block one single strike. And Plazibat will usually stack one on top of the other, or use one to parry for a double layer of protection. This technique got Plazibat through a very tough situation, where he had injured his leg and lost most of his mobility. Despite this, he was still able to close the distance and land a fight-ending counter. Additionally, Plazibat will slice his arm up or down to deflect incoming blows at an angle, letting his opponent's punches or kicks skid away. This is a perfect tactic for him, because he could keep moving forward like a madman while staying defensively responsible. By supplementing his forceful cover blocks with aggressive footwork and head movement, he can get inside of his opponent's attacks. These small, subtle angles often go unnoticed, because they're used hand in hand with high-impact blocks and immediately followed by flashy offense. But it's no coincidence that Plazibat keeps moving forward rather than getting knocked back, even when he's taking tremendous shots on his guard. Plazibat's guard is a bit like an electric fence, in that even his blocks are painful. The #1 contender seems to have no qualms about bone-on-bone impact, using his arms and forearms to swat away his opponent's shins. And like Hoost, he'll sometimes turn his own knee and shin into his opponent's shin. Where a lot of inspiring pressure fighters go wrong is that they lack the ability to counter. Like Tyson, Plazibat is not just barreling forward recklessly. He's inviting punches. After all, every time an opponent throws a shot, they create new openings. Any high guard master can tell through tactile sensation when an opponent has overcommitted. Throwing a punch too hard at Plazibat's guard is like setting off a tripwire. Plazibat's lead hook is especially impressive. Combined with a slip or a pull, the punch is tight and tricky, ending with a more downward path at times that's perfect at sneaking over and through guards. He's also not too bad at crossing his right over his competitor's shoulder. These are intercepting counters, which can be more dangerous. While they add the opponent's weight to Plazibat's punch, they also leave him open at a more vulnerable time. Because of this, he has to rely on head movement, a dangerous proposition in kickboxing because of, well, kicks. Experience with when and how to use head movement helps, but strict adherence to guard position has saved him more than a few times. Getting a kick driven into your forearm doesn't feel great, but it feels a lot better than that same kick to the head. As a dyed-in-the-wool pressure fighter, all of these tactics rely on Plazibat closing the distance in the first place. They say that every craftsman needs the right tools for the job, but Plazibat is the kind of man who uses a jackhammer to nail together a coffee table. But luckily for him, it all somehow works. Even his jab is massively overpowered. Like Triple G, he'll fully commit to the punch, stepping in hard and sinking his weight down. With his chin tucked, head offline, and guarding hand tight, there's really only room for the opponents to land their own jab. And Plazibat's happy trading a power jab for a rangefinder. It's very clear who's getting the better end of that deal. But jabs are boring unless you're way too into martial arts like I am. So let's look at a few of Plazibat's crazier tactics for rapidly covering space. To start with, he'll turn the retraction of calf kicks into deep inside steps, chaining them into punches. This lets him reposition and adds power to his follow-up. Usually this technique, similar to Dempsey's drop step, is seen with the teep into a straight, so it's cool to see this more advanced variation used in high-level fights. He'll also jump into double knees or Lyoto Machida-style jumping kicks to drastically shave down distance. While Karate Kid kicks seem unrealistic for anyone to use consistently, let alone a 200-pound fighter, Plazibat tends to use them when his opponents are already on the run or ducking low. Even if it doesn't land, it encourages them to straighten up their posture, creating more openings to attack. Plazibat also has sticky hands. Never one to let an opportunity go to waste, he'll let his spent punches stay extended, framing to disrupt his opponent's balance, alter their posture, or pin their guard. This takes away their avenues to counter while setting up his own shots. He can also pull their guard out of the way, or if all else fails, he could just punch them really hard, knocking their guard aside to create openings. All of these tactics work together to create the human freight train that is Anotinio Palzibat. His incredible style is a result of pairing aggressive power shots and brute force pressure with an intelligent application of creative techniques. Plazibat is set to fight whoever wins Glory's 4-man heavyweight tournament at Glory 85, taking place on April 29th. He'll be facing that man on June 15th, with the interim championship on the line at Glory Collision 5. I look forward to seeing just how far Plazibat can go, and all the wars yet to come. If you'd like more information on the techniques and tactics covered in this breakdown, you can check out my books on footwork, power, and defense, linked below. From The Modern Martial Artist, this has been David Christian, wishing you happy training.